how have you grown as a person? Tell me like the top 3 things that have changed about you as a person from when you first started DDG, and then now.
A lot less sleep, that's for sure. But you learn to deal with a whole lot of different types of people, whether I was able to do that before or not. You learn, I've evolved in that way, kind of realizing that trying to dive into sports data as the business was starting was very advantageous. I don't really pay attention to many other sports other than the endurance sports, and there's tons of people doing sports data. So that was probably why we focus more on like the business data type of stuff with those other clients. So learning that even if it is your strength, it may not work out as you expected right away.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. Welcome back, everyone. We are in season 2, and season 2 is going to be a little bit different. We are going to be focused on more tangible things, kind of moving away from the motivational space. We got to move on to bigger and brighter things like I have done. And I've reconnected with a lot of people who really helped get me started early on in my career. So today is a very, very special episode as we're kicking off this new season with the person who helped me really get started in this whole thing of entrepreneurship. His name is David Prchal, the CEO of DDG, Dynamic Data Group. David.
Thank you, Jessica. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much. We met back in 2020 in COVID.
Technically, we never actually met, but we met virtually. Yeah.
Yes, we met virtually 2020 in COVID. At the time, so everyone was just doing virtual. No one was traveling or anything. So I was doing virtual events for my daytime job. I was like, this blows because this is just scheduling. And I'm like, let me look into this side hustle thing. And then I go on Upwork, and then I'm like, oh, data analyst, 5 hours a week. Yeah, let's try this out. And then I get connected with this guy, David. He is a whiz. And so let me share a little bit about his company, Dynamic Data Group, and a little bit more about David. He is an entrepreneurial data expert who founded Dynamic Data Group in 2019, aiming to democratize business intelligence and analytics for small businesses. And basically on his website, if you dig into his website, his links will be in the description. He helps businesses that have a great business model, but may not have like the technical. So I guess, maybe a little bit rusty in the tech space to become well-oiled machines with insights and analytics that they previously didn't have access to. And David is also a triathlon athlete and lives in Nebraska where there's tornadoes.
Yeah, we get lots of fun weather over here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah. So, but how's your bio? Did I do that good?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So let's dive in.
Thanks so much, Jessica, for bringing me on board here. This is I think my second podcast episode I filmed with somebody, so I'm loving it.
Wonderful. So, are you to become like a serial podcast guester now? Like, is it tickling something in you?
Oh, it for sure is. I talk a lot. So, yeah.
So tell the world about you, David. Tell them in your own words, like what they should know about you and things that tickle you, fancy you, things that you like, maybe a little bit about how you got started into all of this. Like, who's David?
Yeah, apparently I wanted to start a business since I was 5 years old. At least that's what the story goes. I had been in Chicago and jumping around between jobs, six or seven jobs in first 5 years after college. And then in December of 2018, I got laid off and with half the company that I was working for, and I started contracting. I found I found jobs on Upwork and other places, and I still work with one of the same clients to this day. 6 years later in the making, and kind of snowballed out of control, especially during COVID. So, been an athlete my whole life, running, biking since I was 8 years old or so, and my uncle got me into triathlons. I've done 2 world championships for Team USA on the amateur branch of it.
Wow.
And I just decided to get into data after all those jobs in after college, and the goal was to help small businesses become well-oiled machines and get into helping triathletes and marathoners with their data.
Fascinating. Very, very fascinating. So, it's interesting because when we were working together, I know I mentioned this when we were rekindling, it's kind of like in my cognitive dissonance, really want to engage, but kind of in la la land. But, so you had that dynamic play going on. So it's like, you told me about your life. I actually didn't ask you like really deep questions about your life.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So the piece about your uncle. So your uncle got you into triathlons. Yeah. Let's dig into that. Tell me about that.
He was at the time doing Ironmans. I think he just finished his first Ironman.
Wow.
He was helping organize the Omaha Triathlon. He was the race director at the time. I just decided to take the leap. I was in D1 track and field back then, and decided to take the leap into the dark side, as they say.
The dark side.
I had been swimming like just in lakes and stuff since I was a child.
Oh, wow.
It was supernatural to me, and I'm quite good at it, I would say.
Oh, so you're a rural boy, are you?
I've lived in the city. I've lived in the south side of Chicago. I mean, Nebraska can be very rural. So yes, I mean, just a nice dynamic mix of all.
So I guess that's why you call it dynamic data group, huh?
Well, that's an interesting story, actually.
Okay.
They called me Dynamic Dave in college. Because I ran many of the events, everything from the 800 all the way up to the 5 mile.
Wow.
6 mile, the 10K. And so they threw me into just about everything, and it was Dynamic Dave.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
That was where the name of the business came from, actually.
That's so funny because it's like you have this track record of being super successful in athletics, and then like you're going to work now in corporate America, and you can't stay in one place, and then you get laid off. So it's like it didn't correlate, right? Like that's.
Well, I mean, in a way, yeah. I guess business owners are terrible employees, they say. But yeah, it definitely was always looking for something better, looking for to grow. And the goal out of college was just to be a sponge and soak up a bunch of skills before I started business. And so, I mean, it was planned, but it does appear kind of a little erratic at times. But
wow. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense to me now of how we even got connected, because I remember when I graduated from college, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get all this experience, and then I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to be a sophisticated investor. That was my plan too. But the thing is with the la la land and like trying to make sense of your reality, to your point though, it's like, this place isn't what I thought it would be. I really need to get this skills. Okay, maybe I should go here. I mean, I really like the experience, but oh my God. Okay, so maybe let me do this. Okay, let's try that, So it's like a dance.
Yep.
But then when you look back, you did get all the experience that you needed to, get your start.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of just how it goes, isn't it? It's always a rocky road when you get started on starting a small business. So never ceases, actually.
It's so true. And I wanted to say thank you so much for showing me what it looked like to even try to start a small business, and then a small business consulting, in data intelligence, So I want to kind of pivot into your mastermind brain engine, because I remember the first time we had our meeting, you just showed me what Domo was, and you showed me like how you go about building your transformations, and you expanded my querying skills, my SQL skills, and then even business logic workflow skills, or how you can mash data together. You really, really expanded me like no tomorrow. Like this was before all these AI agent workflow stuff. Like this, you taught me how to put together the most disparaging pieces of information that make no fucking sense. And you figured out how to make a picture where the business can actually validate and say, yeah, this makes sense to us. Yeah, this is great. This is exactly what we're looking for, you know? So, like you taught me the concepts of like data recursions. I never came across that before. I was like, what the hell is a recursion, you know? And so now like you read everything as it relates to the AI infrastructure and the LLMs, like it's all about recursions, you know? So, let's dive into, what you can do.
Absolutely. I'll pull it up here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Page. Oh, there we go. I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I?
Nope, not yet. But you're good.
Domo. So Domo is a BI platform. That's business intelligence. It connects to pretty much any data. It's very agnostic to the data you want to give it. What we've got pulled up is one of their Strava connectors. Strava is a tracking tool, tracking app that works with the smartwatches, the IoT devices for athletes. And this is my running data and activities since I was, since I started using Strava. So my activities report, and we'll just break it down. Let's do all time. And let's see what we get.
Why wouldn't you flatten the list? You didn't flatten the list in that setting.
Because I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sure what I don't think I need to in this case.
Okay.
We'll see what we get. We can always go back and flatten the list if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with the data before, but it's been actually a while that since I've messed with my own data, because it's an automated thing. Once you set the data up and data flows, your dashboards, then it's going to continue to calculate and do anything you ask it to do indefinitely. So we've got some interesting metrics coming up. We got our bio, country. Where are my...
Your weight seems pretty consistent.
My what?
Your weight?
Geez. That's just what you plug in. It doesn't actually calculate that. So yeah, looks like these would have been all my activity name is the name of the workout.
Okay.
And I don't track everything. There's only 118 rows in here. And this is what I expected to look like. So flattening wouldn't have done anything here for me. But if I want to start manipulating this data, I can tidy data up in Dataflow. So let's do that.
God, you're bringing back so many memories for me now.
All the good memories in Domo, right?
Yeah. I mean, I actually enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yep. So, I mean, the first thing I'm just going to start doing is adding in just an identifier of what we're dealing with. So it's just going to be a fixed value starting data source, and it's going to have Strava. Because if I wanted to append and stack other data on here, say Garmin data or your other fit sources, I'll then label each section of where they're coming from. And we're just going to test the output, make sure everything looks good. So we're going to connect the data. We're going to connect over here. Strava David Prchal. And save and run. And V1. And so this flow, which is nothing to it right now, is going to keep running into perpetuity every time it updates. There it has a few seconds ago, 118 rows. So that's the same as before. And our new data source label. There it is, Strava. And that's all the way down. So now we're going to keep editing. Let's see. Might want to clean up the data in other ways. One of the best examples I do is join it with the weather data. So should we see what weather data we have?
Yeah. What weather data do we have?
Omaha weather data, Excel. Let's pull that in.
How'd you get that into your Excel?
I had an intern do this once upon a time. He uploaded it to Google Sheets years ago. So it's definitely not going to be the most up to date. But we got month, year, the temp low, temp high, average temp, precipitation, humidity. Looks like month, year, key. What does that look like? Month, year, key. So it would be 12 and the year. How did he do that? 42.
42.
42. That doesn't make sense. We're not going to join it
or
on
is
that.
it maybe he just did one digit or 1 to 2 digits for the month, maybe?
Well, we're going to clean it up more. So we're going to get what we want out of this.
Okay.
And so we're going to combine utility. Bring in another.
This literally feels like how our calls used to be when we have a client request, and then I would read. I'm like, David, what are they saying right now? And then you'd be like, oh, it's this.
So let's see here. We're gonna concatenate the year hyphenate month. Year. Run preview, make sure everything looks good, and it does not have an extra parenthesis there. All right. Yep. So it's the year 2017-1. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Let's see what our dates are. Username, dates, created at, updated at, start date. Which one? Why is there 2 start dates in Strava? What's going on? Strava ETL for Strava extract, transform, and load. Let's just use that first one, start _date. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Join month, year, concat, start, go year of start _date, comma, hyphenation, comma, month of start date. And make sure our join works. Strava activities, add formula is this one. We're going to update the naming so it all makes more sense. Strava, and this is add formula. Either add formula Strava on our left side of the join. We're going to join that on the right, the equality condition, and we're going to join on that new column we created that was called month join MY. And on the other side, join month year. Named them differently so we don't have any sort of naming conflicts after this run, but let's see what we get. Gotta document everything we're doing because you never know who's going to work on things after you. Just like, we're working with live data, and I have no idea what that intern 3 years ago did with the data here on our key, month year key. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, but that's how tech goes. Somebody works on something and the next person doesn't even want to use it. They have to do it their own way.
Yeah, that is true.
Very true.
That is true.
Our output just ran a few seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the history in here if we needed to. History. So there you have it. These are two processes. 118 rows on the input from Strava. And the output's 118 rows. So that's kosher. Everything looked good there.
Mm-hmm.
It got a little bit bigger in size. That's because the extra columns we just added.
Right.
Let's see what we have for temp. And there we have it. Got various temperatures, various high temp, average temp, low temp, joined into almost all the data. These 18 rows down here are going to be like the more recent things I've tracked since we've updated the weather in the Google Sheet.
Yeah.
But if we wanted to connect it to a live data source of weather, we could. Back in the day when I had the intern do this, he connected to the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration weather data set.
Mm-hmm.
And in about 3 seconds, he pulled in like 65 million rows of data into our Domo.
Wow.
And so, so we decided to just upload it in Excel to get going without having to deal with the overage and costs there on the row count.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I'm gonna make a pie chart because most people understand pie charts. So
this is the one thing I really actually liked about Domo in comparison to the other tools, because you're able to do all of your transformations and everything and then go straight into visualization of things.
Yep. And so I breaking it down by activity type. Right now it's just going to, let's see here. Maybe let's do sum of miles. How about that? Miles.
Yes.
Sum of distance miles. Count. I'm going to change that to sum. There we have it. We've got a total of 400 on the bike, 241 run, 8 on the hiking, and 1 on swimming. I guess I don't track myself when I swim. Save and close. This is going to be in my messy overview that is for everything. But we can make a dashboard. Add dashboard. Dashboard. Save. Done. We're going to move this to that newly created dashboard.
So easy.
Strava dashboard. There it is. Save. And let's go find it. Search. And there it is. Here's the different data sets we worked with. Here's the dashboard. There's nothing on it, just our beautiful pie chart. Now, if I want actually a dashboard look good, we just drag and drop, much like your typical website builders. So let's just keep rocking and rolling. Maybe we'll pull up some weather data in here next. Save as. Call this Strava workouts with. And most times when we're dealing in Domo, we're going to make a table. So we started out with something simple like a pie chart, but now let's make a table. And it updated all the same data just into a table. So you see those 400 on the distance, 200 for the run, 8 for the hike.
Yeah.
But now let's bring in that temperature. Average temp, high temp. So we're going to pull in the highs. And we're going to pull in the low, and we are going to put an average on it. So average, because the other average was average by day or average that month. So you can't average an average. But there you have it. So during the bike rides over those various months, the average temp was 70 degrees. The low is 49. I don't know if you know anything about riding a bike at 50 degrees. Feels like the winter.
Yes.
And in the swim, this is actually really interesting. 83, that's pretty optimal for swimming.
Yes.
But 63. Have you ever swam in 60 degree weather?
No, David. I have certain philosophies that certain people do certain things and other people don't do things, and swimming in cold water is one of those things that I particularly don't do.
Let's pull in some time. Oh, time data does not aggregate. We have,
Interesting.
yeah, it's a string value, so it's not a numerical value.
Ah, that's right.
Can we do here? Can we convert it? Save and
You know,
close.
David, as we've been going through all these things, I'm sitting here reflecting on my life, you know. So after I had moved on from DDG, I did a whole bunch of crap, man. So I think when David, so what really happened when, like, the day that I was like, I'm done, I'm moving on, right? Like, I was doing crazy stuff, bro. Like I had gotten like 2 like job offers, and my friend, she was like, you should do all 3. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And how well did that work out for you?
Well, here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker, David. I knew that I had wanted, so before all of that, I knew I wanted to stay with you while I was trying to figure out how to grow, right? So we have the 2 other offers, right? My friend talking to me in my ear. I want to do all 3. The one that I cared about the most was the one that I dropped. And then I went on a 2-year journey with these 2 other jobs. That sucked my soul, David. They sucked my soul. It was a lot of hard work. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. But I left those 2 jobs. And you know who I'm talking to today?
Yep. The very first one. Yep. That's kind of how life goes, isn't it?
And I'm back on my timeline.
That's okay.
I'm focusing on my business.
So we are back.
My God.
We are back to where we started. We're going to get rid of moving time because we don't need to. And we can kind of end here. The elapsed time. And it's still a string value. Let's see here. Yep. It converted it over, but it is still a string value. You can do elapsed time seconds, and then we can convert it over from there.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that stuff you used to do. Convert it down to seconds, and then do the formula to put it in all the other intervals that people wanted. And you know what else is crazy, David, as you're doing all this?
What's that?
There are so many times people told me that, like, some feedback I got in corporate America, like, you don't pay attention to details. As you're doing all this stuff and then thinking about how much I've built on, like, you know, this is your simple demonstration, but we went on to more advanced stuff. These people, they were just picking on me. There's no way that I can't pay attention to detail doing this type of work.
Like you have to be in it. Like you have to be just nose to the grindstone, just constantly checking. I mean, how many tiny little things did I miss while we're doing this?
Yeah. But we had such a great flow because we would just be like, okay, yeah, let's fix. All right.
Yep.
You know,
so
like
what I've done here is I created a small calculated field. So this is very similar to manipulating the data in the ETL in the back end. You're also able to do that on the front end as well.
That's right. Yep.
So we've got elapsed time seconds. Elapsed time is in the minutes now. We get rid of seconds because nobody cares about seconds. But there you have it. The average elapsed time minutes on the bike is 40 minutes.
Yeah.
For that, there was one swim, 30 minutes exactly. Hike, 186 minutes. That sounds about right. And run, 30 minutes. I like to do a lot of shorter stuff, not the long Ironman stuff. We'll do this one more time, and we are going to convert it to hours. And you can actually pull in the old formula. There's the original one, elapsed time minutes. Now we're going to divide by 60 again, and this is going to be our hours. So if I ever go in and update that elapsed times minute formula, it will see, sequentially update this one as well.
Yes.
And that's actually new in Domo. I don't think they did that when
Really?
I don't think it was available when you were working
Oh,
with me.
yeah, you're right. Because you're right. Because we like,
You had
I
to
remember one of the clients, the crazy one with like the crazy amount of data we were trying to figure out. We had to go like card by card by card and like made sure everything was correct
all the way from the beginning to the
all the
end.
way from the beginning. David, I've had some bullies. What the heck?
Yep.
This is crazy. I don't pay attention to I don't pay attention to details. That's nuts. Guys, whoever's listening out here, if y'all are doing some technical stuff and you have somebody who's your manager or something, give you some weird ass feedback or it's around promotion season about how you don't pay attention to details, that's nonsense. Anyways, David, continue.
But yep. So here you have it. We converted that time over from seconds to minutes, and then we've got our average hours, and you can see how the numbers equate out across. And it's
Nice.
that simple. That's it's not simple at the end of the day. I mean, there's a lot of details, but it's that easy to actually leverage your data in really wholesome ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that client with tons of data, that was another small business. He's my mentor. I talk to him every day, I think.
Oh wow.
I still talk to Gabe. Yeah, he started his company Wabata out of Arkansas, and then in 2018 he sold it to a company called One World Sync over in Chicago.
Wow.
We still work with them to this day.
Yeah.
They're merchandising. They're analyzing product data on just a macro scale across retailers like Target, Walmart, and Kroger.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Gabe, he's fantastic. I remember my calls with him. You know what? I was actually really happy I had Gabe as a client because he was like my first white man from Arkansas client. And I'm like, David, are you sure they're gonna like me? Like, I'm black. Like, and Gabe was the sweetest guy. Like, he was so funny. Like, I loved working with him so much.
Yep. There's this one thing. So do you remember the other guy he worked with? He was like his polar opposite. There were all four of us on a call, and I'm pretty sure one of my employees as well. And he tells me this story of how his other employee comes running into his office because they used to work at corporate Walmart, like inside the graphic design and marketing area.
Okay.
And they worked at agencies and all sorts of they've been working together for years.
So they've been together for years.
Yes. And, the story goes that his employee comes running into his office about something they needed. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired for this. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world." And Gabe goes, "Now hold on. There's only 4 possibilities. You will cease to exist, or the business will cease to exist. You'll get fired, or you'll quit. There's no other possibility that will ever transpire. Those are it. They're the only 4 possibilities, and just at the end of the day, he's like, just you can't worry about it."
Yeah, that's so wise.
And apparently they ended up quitting and starting their own thing together, and then they sold that. So,
oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. I
did I
just
get
glitched a
into
little bit.
maybe even more? I know I stopped screen sharing. We digressed a little bit there, but
yeah.
yeah, I could bring up that Domo dashboard again if you'd like. But I mean, that's kind of a nutshell of what we do, what I do every day, helping companies leverage their data.
Yeah. No, I think all that's really cool. And I know you showed like a really, really, really simple example. And I have like questions in my head because, I always got to think about things and
they just start going. And you don't know what you don't know until you start seeing it. And then, and the thoughts just keep flowing like water after that.
Exactly. So like for me, I'm thinking about, okay, like how do you leverage like the LLM input, for example, if you want some type of LLM transformation, like does Domo have that? Or like, do you do like how do you I guess in your
Oh,
world with all the little things.
as mentioned, Domo is very agnostic. So you can take the data back out of Domo via an API, just like you can put it in via an API. Domo has actually launched Domo AI within their platform. So there's a whole AI suite inside of Domo where you can make your own models just as easily as you can transform the data as well. And doing it at a fraction of fraction of the cost of a normal LLM. You can plug
Oh,
in your other models or the other AI tools like ChatGPT and a few of the others, or you can literally create your own model on your own data inside Domo.
Domo needs to advertise the crap out of that because I always thought their infrastructure was superior. And then on top of it, do you know how many people are trying to do like financial LLM platforms?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can have all your proprietary stuff already set up, bro. And then you just leverage Domo AI and then you're good. Nice and clean because all these people are prompting, do this pull. And then you're trying to do financial data. You know what? I need to stop recording this podcast right now because
Yep. But yeah, it's incredible the improvements that they've created in the last since me and you have engaged in when I had you hired. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and they've just been rocking and rolling like no other.
Yeah, yeah. So, how have you grown as a person? So tell me, like, the top 3 things that have changed about you as a person from when you first started DDG, and then now.
Person or as DDG has evolved? Well,
Both.
as a person, um, a lot less sleep, that's for sure. Um, but you learn to deal with a whole lot of different types of people, whether I was able to do that before or not. You learn. I've evolved in that way. Kind of realizing that trying to dive into sports data as the business was starting was very advantageous. I don't really pay attention to many other sports other than the endurance sports, and there's tons of people doing sports data. So that was probably why we focused more on like the business data type of stuff with those other clients. So learning that even if it is your strength, that may not it may not work out as you expected right away, and definitely definitely learned and reminded myself that that when you're starting a business, endurance prevails.
It does.
Like you just have to keep going with the punches, and you get punched a lot.
Yes, you do.
Slapped in the face and punched
Oh
a
my
lot,
God.
and
Yeah, man.
you don't have to be the best at anything. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to have the smartest idea. But at the end of the day, the diligence, that's the one who prevails more and more or further and further is the one that succeeds.
Yep.
And
I
that's
have learned
business in a
that this
nutshell.
year, like no tomorrow. You are absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
What's I mean, what do you specialize in, and how did I, or what are you consulting in? How did I transform that, and what do you do?
Yeah. So it's funny because,
Help the world.
you brought me in, I was doing data analyst stuff, but then you transitioned me into the project manager of your engineers.
Yeah, for a brief time.
Ironically, that's what I'm doing right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's the service I offer to these other companies is project management for your engineers. It could be client facing projects or it could be internal projects, but we got project managers for your engineers. But then on top of it, we understand the business. So we have the business process part of it too. So I kind of translate, I do translate, and I like people feeling nice inside. So I also make sure the environment and people are good and they're not depressed. And if they are, I take care of it. Okay. Like if anybody on the project team is not feeling good, who's bothering you? All right. We will take it. Guys, I need my team to perform. So
Mhm.
that's what I do for other places. And when people are performing and they're happy and they feel like they have a voice and they feel like someone's standing up for them, we get a lot of stuff done. So that's just what I do. I plug myself into these rough environments where people aren't happy. I'm like, hey guys, I played dumb a little bit, asked dumb questions. I learn their processes because I'm asking them dumb questions. Make them feel safe because I'm still asking dumb questions. I don't care to look dumb because then when I'm done asking these dumb questions, hey guys, this is what we're doing. And they're like, whoa, whoa.
It can be very humbling for subordinates as well, to humble yourself, and then they realize, oh shit, like I don't need to be perfect, or I can ask the questions. Was something I incorporated after we parted ways. I don't think I told you this yet, Jessica, but we created it's just a Google tracking, a Google form. And I call it the I told you so form. And it's a way to document the I told you so's. We even attach it to our tasks. Like you can add the task identifier in there to join the data back to the task. Yeah. But I have a very good memory, a photographic memory. And so like when I tell the clients something and they don't listen to me, I remember. And I could probably tell you the date and time I told you. But like when you're as a project manager or my other employees are project managing and I'm not on the client call and they advise the client in a way, or their engineers below them advise them.
Yes.
I can't advocate for them if there is no record of we told somebody to do something.
Yes.
So I've empowered the entire team to write down when they told somebody something and they didn't listen, including me. That's me that I'm not listening. I'm like, well, we're not doing that right now. And so it's very, we don't use it a ton. It kind of gets forgotten sometimes, but it's a really good way to remind the team that even if somebody says no, it still can be irrelevant in the future, and we can always come back to it. And now there's a nice little record of that pivot point that we have to come back to inevitably anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
My father just moved over to Florida, and it's actually hilarious because he told me a story just the other day of this exact same thing. His owner of his company, you won't be selling in Florida. You're about to retire. Don't sell anything. And a couple of days later, I guess you can sell some. I guess you can sell, for our company in Florida. But you won't be opening an office. He opened the office in Omaha, but you won't be opening an office in Florida. And I guess a few days later, maybe you can open an office, but you're not going to be managing it. You hire somebody to manage it. So I told you so, right? Yeah. It's one of those things. I guess I got the philosophy from him maybe a little bit, but But that's just kind of how business owners are a lot. They have to shut things down until it kind of boils and they think it through. Even if it is a really good idea from somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. That's
try to give the credit where the credit is due. So
that's true.
It's also what the form is for, and the tracking is for, is to have that credit for the person recorded.
Yep.
So,
and that also helps with the culture because then people feel heard.
Yeah. Tie it all in a little bow tie there.
Exactly. Wonderful. Oh, David, this is incredible. I'm so happy to have you on my show. And where can people find you?
Dynamicdatagroup.com, or also my name, davidprchal.com. I'm on LinkedIn, almost all the social medias, you're pretty easy to find, very unique name as well. So
wonderful. Thank you so much. And we got to do this again. Jessica.